In today's video, we're going to take a look at the OnePlus Nord N200 5G. Price on this is right at $240. I'll leave a link in the description of the video with current pricing and more information. Some of the top features on this one, you get a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, 6.49 inch, 90 hertz, full HD display, 16 megapixel selfie camera, side mounted fingerprint scanner. So that's definitely something new I haven't seen with OnePlus yet. You get 4 gigabytes of RAM and 64 gigabytes of storage. And of course, this one is 5G ready. It looks like it only comes in one color, blue quantum, and this one weighs in at 189 grams. It also comes with a Snapdragon 480 5G processor. It takes a micro SD card up to 256 gigabytes. So let's go ahead and open it up and see what we've got. SIM card and micro SD card removal tool. Pretty cool design here actually. And then you've got safety information. Here's your 18 watt fast charging brick and USB-C to USB-A charging cable. Pretty sweet looking triple camera setup there on the back. And I like this matte plastic on the back as well. Then it feels like a glossy plastic around the edges. Overall, just a really nice looking phone. The power button on here definitely reminds me of what Motorola is doing with some of their phones right now. Maybe not quite as big as Motorola, but pretty much the same style. Then you have the selfie camera up there in the corner, volume buttons, and then SIM card, micro SD card tray there on the left hand side. And then you get your ports there on the bottom. You get the headphone jack, USB-C charging, a microphone, and the speaker. Yeah, I can see why they switched to the side-mounted fingerprint scanner. It's definitely more reliable. I'm definitely liking the build quality on this one so far. Let's go ahead and get it set up and check out the software. Let's go ahead and try out this new fingerprint scanner. Whoops. Make sure you don't push the button in when you're setting this up. Otherwise, yeah, you're gonna have to do it again. Not quite sure about this wallpaper. It's kind of hard to read what time it is and anything that's in white up here. You'd think that would fade to something a little darker, but hey, what do I know? So it looks like we're using about 18% of the 64 gigabyte storage right out of the box. And this is on Android 11, April 1st security update. So if you're familiar with other OnePlus phones, this one's gonna look very similar. Swipe up to access all your apps. The nice thing is about OnePlus phones, they don't put a lot of bloatware on there. You got a few apps from OnePlus, and then the rest are just mostly Google apps. Swipe down anywhere on the screen, and that's gonna be like the OnePlus shelf, something that I don't usually use, so I would go into the settings and change that so that it's just your notification shade. Swipe over to the left on the home screen, and you're gonna get your Google News feed. So back to the notifications, you've got most of your typical stuff here. Do not disturb, location, airplane mode, battery saver. You can turn your ring on and off, auto rotate, flashlight, mobile data. You've got reading mode, dark mode, hotspot, Zen mode, screen recorder, and nearby share. Now to me, the bezels look really good on here. The bottom chin is a little bit on the large side, but you know they do that on cheaper phones for some reason. I'm not sure why, I guess they like the Jay Leno look, but hey, it's not really that big a deal to me. It's got a nice tapered edge here along the sides. Definitely reminds me of the OnePlus 7 Pro, or even some of the Samsung phones, how they used to curve the edges. 32 megapixel front-facing camera right there in the middle. And then here on the back, you've got 4 cameras. You got a 2 megapixel depth camera, 5 megapixel macro, 16 megapixel wide angle, and a 48 megapixel main camera. I like how they didn't just make the back of this phone look like every other phone out there. I gotta say, this is a pretty... Now, one downside of this phone, you only have one speaker here on the bottom. You don't get one out by the earpiece. Good thing is that one speaker on the bottom is nice and loud. I think most people are gonna be okay with it. Unfortunately, you're only gonna get SD on apps like Netflix. Nice thing is you do get split screen on this, and it's gonna work very similar to a lot of other Android phones out there. So for the cameras on the back, you've got a 13 megapixel main lens, a 2 megapixel macro lens, and a 2 megapixel monochrome lens, and then a 16 megapixel front facing camera. Pretty decent shutter speed on here. Resolution looks pretty decent on here, I would say. Here in the camera app, you've got night mode, video, photo, portrait, and then in more, you've got slow-mo, time-lapse, expert, extra HD, pano, and macro. Now, video isn't real strong on this phone. You can only shoot up to 1080p at 30 frames per second, and that's on the rear and front-facing cameras. Here's a few samples of photos and video just to give you an idea of what to expect. Now, I feel like the main camera is actually really good on this phone. I know it's kind of hard to tell from these samples, but the shutter speed feels like it's decent speed. And while you're not going to get OnePlus 9 performance with this, I really feel like you can get some decent shots out of this phone as long as you have good lighting. I feel like even the macro lens, you can get some decent shots. It just takes a little bit of practice. Video, I wish you could get at least 60 frames per second when doing video, but overall, I don't think you're gonna have any problems using this phone for things like Zoom meetings. And I feel like you get solid performance when it comes to photos and videos on this phone. Geekbench scores on this are going to be close to last year's Nord N10 5G, but you're definitely getting a performance bump with the Nord N200 5G. As far as gaming goes on here, I tested out PUBG Mobile and Asphalt 9 just to get an idea of how it performed, and it handled both of those games without any problems. You get HD graphics and high frame rates on PUBG Mobile, and sure, there are some times where it takes a little bit for the graphics to load in the distance, but overall I think it performed really nice and smooth. But so far I really like what I see here with the hardware and software. I feel like if you're looking for a budget phone in this price category, you definitely got to check this one out. So if you've made it this far into the video, you may want to say thanks by subscribing, and don't forget to give a thumbs up if this video was helpful. This is Brian from Fishbee Productions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.